welcome to the Twisted Builds podcast. On today's episode, we have our first guest. His name is Calvin Nelson. He comes from Central PA, Southwestern PA area.
Yep.
And
PA. Yep.
A lot of you guys know him for his Studebaker build. He has a 4200 straight 6 and a Studebaker that's a turbo build. And also the latest build, which is an Eagle Talon, which I know has an LS4 turbo on it. So I guess we'll start with the Studebaker build and go from there.
Yeah. So I'm Calvin. I have my own YouTube channel here on YouTube as well, Nivlac 57. Go check out my projects there. But yeah, the Studebaker, that was my first car. My dad bought that when I was 16. A friend of ours basically said, $200 and I'll deliver it. And we couldn't say no. So he delivered that to the house. And I originally built a car with a 260 cubic inch small block Chevy.
Okay.
It was a 262 that came out of a Chevy Monza that my dad, he offset ground the crank to make the stroke shorter to get it under 260.99 cubic inches for land speed racing.
Okay.
And he blew up a power glide at 145 with that engine in front of it. My very first engine that I was a part of building.
Okay.
So that was in there for a while. It was a 260 cubic inch engine. It made like 300 horsepower, which, you know, for that size engine, pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got bored of that, so I put a 6-liter LS into it.
Okay.
And I took it to the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge, just kind of raced it around here and there, and had fun with that. And then, I my very first job, I power washed garbage trucks.
Okay.
And apparently I had I talked a lot.
Okay.
And something I always talked about was swapping a 4200, Vortec 4200 into something. And, it was just something I talked about. I always wanted to do it. And, I moved on from that job, was full-time employed, out of college. Mm-hmm. I went to college for electrical engineering. And I ran into one of the employees that I used to work with at the garbage truck place. And he's like, "Hey, did you ever do that 4200 swap?" And I'm like, yeah, no. And I just kind of I was like, I did talk about that a lot. I should do that. Yeah. And I think within a week, I had a Trailblazer with a 60,000 mile engine in the trunk of it.
Okay.
And so
there you go.
my original plans for that engine was to put it into a 62 F100 unibody, the ones where the truck and the bed are the same thing, like they just flow together. There's no seat.
Yep.
Yeah, I had one of them, and I kept I was like, and I really want the 4200 in a car because I think it would be cooler. Not that the truck's not cool, but I just, for some reason I wanted it in a car. And, I kept going back and forth with this, my Studebaker works, it's LS powered,
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was like, screw it. I'm taking the LS out and I'm putting the 4200 in.
Okay.
And so that was that. I tore that thing out. I had it out in less than a day and had the 4200 in it. And, the rest is history. I worked on it. Yeah, it was one of the first projects that I kind of took on by myself, without my dad. Me and my dad do a lot of stuff together.
Okay.
We've built up a lot of cars.
Okay.
So it was my first, I just tackled into the intake, tackled into the exhaust manifold, and just went wild. And so that was basically the story of that. Then after I had the 4200 in it, I started with a micro squirt. Then I put a gold box on it.
Okay.
All trying to get the VVT to work.
Oh yeah.
And then I I think I put the microsquirt back on it because I wanted to take it to the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge
Okay.
with the 4200 again. And so I took it to that, and then I think that's when I talked to you about the Speeduino.
Yes.
And yeah, and then I tried that out, and we had a few difficulties as we were discussing earlier. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm excited about. I guess let's talk about the latest update.
So the latest deal I found is between you and my other beta tester, Kevin Marksberry. Kevin also has one on a 4200. He has on an engine dyno that he's got, and he was nice enough for me to go ahead and set the harmonic balancer. Like, you can take an index marker and set all 6 pistons to top dead center, and then index the harmonic balancer. That way you can use a timing light on it and see where each cylinder is for as regards to timing. That was one of my main concerns, was that the 7X decoder isn't 100% finalized on Speeduino. It's really close, and Kevin got me the video evidence showing it's roughly, like, I think it's like 2 degrees or so, plus or minus, for most of the cylinders. It's not dead on accurate like it's supposed to be. So there has been some work done. I know Josh Stewart, the inventor of Speeduino, has been working on it a bit, making it a little bit tighter. I also know from talking to you earlier when we were getting ready for the podcast that the fueling wasn't set up correctly, and which I found out my own thing too, and I didn't even think to relay it on to you. Where Calvin had it set up for simultaneous, and right now with the 2560, it does not work in simultaneous injection at all. For some reason, it just completely acts up. I think it's something to do with the way the Speeduino does the timers for the ignition, or for the injection. So it'll run the 2560 board has 8 setups for timers. Excuse me. So it'll use 4 timers for fueling and 4 timers for ignition. That's why it is pretty much a 4-on-4. You can double them up to where you can run an 8-cylinder, or double them up for your version for a 6-cylinder, but you don't have individual right now with the 2560 powered Speeduinos. So because of that, I believe the way the timer is set up for simultaneous, it's not, whenever it turns the timer on, it's actually at the very end. If you hit it with an oscilloscope, it shuts it off and then blimps, and that blimp is completely untimed, and then it will do it again. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's where all our fueling issues are coming in, because it had no real actual control of that injector in simultaneous mode. Whereas in alternating, it would go through the same, like what you have for a firing sequence, which is on a Speeduino, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and how you wire the coils is how it fires the engine. It does the same thing for the ignition, or the fueling as well. In alternating, it'll go 1, 2, 3. So it's not, I guess what you would call it almost semi-sequential. But because of that, like on my Firebird, I was able to do it that way, and it ran fine. It was able, at that point, it's able to hit a timer, hit a timer, hit a timer, instead of making all 3 hit and having to deal with something. Don't know if it's an overflow or what's going on with it, but that's definitely an issue that we found.
That's almost what it sounds like.
So,
yeah, that's almost what it sounds like.
So the latest
an overflow.
Yeah, it very well could be. Once I switched over to alternating, it was okay. So once I'm working right now on a new line of boards that's going to be running the Teensy 3.5. So those will have 8-channel ignition, 8-channel fueling with individual adjustable controls. So that way you can either add or pull a timing per cylinder. And same way of fuel. You can add a percentage of fuel or pull a percentage of fuel per cylinder. Yeah. So it's also going to have onboard CAN bus and everything else. Which the CAN bus code's still very much in its infancy, and I've actually been working on that on my end because of projects we're going to be talking about later in this podcast. But yeah, so that was the issues we were having on your car, and you went back to, I'm guessing, the Megasquirt 3, or what did you go back to after you tried mine?
I went right back to the microsquirt. I actually I had no reason to. I just went back to the mic. Well, no, I I remember why I did it.
Yeah.
I went back to the microsquirt because I wanted to try and do the VVT again. And
I
Gold
remember
Box, yeah, Gold Box kind of requires that you run it in sequential. For whatever reason, the wasted spark and the batch fire wanted a cam sensor as well.
Okay. And you can't adjust
Which
the timing.
doesn't make sense.
And you can't adjust the timing when it's using a cam sensor for an input. Correct?
Right. Yeah, I can't if I change the phase of the cam, I'm changing the phase of the cam sensor. And that causes the ECU to go, hey, what the heck? What'd you do?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I went back to the microsquirt. I never got around to fooling with the VVT again, even though with the Speeduino, it seemed to work. That VVT function where you just send a pulse width, it seemed to move the camshaft. But I never actually got around to it, and I ended up literally just taking the camshaft sprocket and just hopping it
a tooth. Yep, I remember seeing your
Yes.
videos about that. It looked like you got some pretty good results from that.
It made a big difference.
Yeah.
Like I went 1092 at 121 without the cam phase change.
Okay.
And after I did that, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would go now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it all of a sudden it makes power. Like, you know, it was a rocket to the eighth. Like it would go 99 in the eighth, but going out the back door, it should be going like 125.
Okay.
But it's only going 121. And it's just, I mean, you can feel it in the car. It's just like,
it just knows
this is
it's
a
over.
turbo car. Like this isn't, yeah, it just doesn't pull. You're just kind of like sitting there, like checking your watch, like, come on.
Yeah.
This is a turbo car. It's supposed to, you know, top end charge, you know.
Yep.
So
that's gonna be cool to see once you get that back to the track.
Yeah, I'd like to do it very soon. My plans are to put an engine diaper on it because I don't want to wreck it because it's my first car.
Yep.
And put an engine diaper on it. I bought some Calvert racing shocks because it's a leaf spring car.
Okay.
I'm going to put them on it. They're adjustable, so we can play around with that. I mean, that 1092 pass, the leaf spring, you know, looks kind of like this. And under acceleration, it was like this.
Yep.
Yeah, it was crunching that tire hard. I had radials on it, and it was hitting it hard. So it was doing good, like that's what it's supposed to do. But you know, they're stock leaf springs with 7/16 bolts and stuff, and it's like, I don't know how long this is
pushing it a
gonna
little
last.
bit. Yeah, definitely with that kind of power.
Yeah.
So
So especially with the newfound power. So if we can get some shock control and get that leaf spring to maybe chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
under
what
control.
I'd like to do, and then I'm just, and then I want to run it until it either blows up or goes a 9.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna take the car completely apart because it's still a body on frame. I want to take it completely apart, blast the frame because it's never been blasted or anything, and then I'm gonna put a serious, you know, chassis together and try to make it into like a real race car.
Okay.
Because it's kind of been scabbed together over the years. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. But I'm assuming you've taken a break from that for right now for the Talon. The Talon build.
Yes, that is being a massive pain in the butt.
Oh yeah.
Yes. It's blown up 3 times. So yeah.
Okay.
Things are going well.
I did not hear about that. If you want to talk about it a little bit, tell our listeners what the Talon build is about.
Yeah. So if you guys are familiar with LS4 King on YouTube, and he's on Facebook and all over the place, Brandon Furchess, he built a Monte Carlo with a LS4, and the reason my dad and I were crazy people, and we like to try just wacky and wild stuff, and we've always. Dad never told me this, but I have always wanted to do a front wheel drive build just because I thought it would be cool. And secretly, my dad wanted to do a front wheel drive build as well.
Okay.
And we never really talked about it. And so we just it came up one day. Well, I guess I should tell you the story of how we got the car first.
Okay.
So I wanted to do a 4G63, the Mitsubishi Motors. And so I was looking for one of those engines, and I was just looking all over Facebook, and a Eagle Talon popped up, and I was just like, looking through pictures, and it's this complete rust bucket. It was cheap, it was like he had it advertised for like $500,
Okay.
and I'm like, and I'm like, but it's like this rust bucket, and then. I keep scrolling, and then all of a sudden there's this tube chassis race car, and I'm like, hey, whoa, what's that? What that one? Why? What? And so it turns out it was two cars. It was the rust bucket and the race car.
Oh, okay.
And so I got a hold of the guy. It had been advertised for like months. And I got a hold of the guy, and I'm like, so, hey, what's the deal? What's your bottom dollar? Can I get more pictures? That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And he's like, honestly, $300, get him out of here. And I'm like, yes, sir. Yep. So we went and looked at the cars, and the one, it was just as bad as it looked. It was just complete rust bucket. But yeah, more, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were looking at the race car, the one we were interested in, and we, got it on the trailer. It didn't have any wheels or tires, so that was fun. And we got it home, and found out these are like. I did no research before I bought these. I was just like, cheap chassis, 750 cert cage car. I know what that costs, $300. Okay.
Yeah.
And found out they're the TSI all-wheel drive, the holy grail DSM car. Okay. And I had no idea. And I was just like, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna put a V8 in it. Whatever. And I didn't know how mad DSM guys would get. They're like Mopar guys.
I can imagine.
I mean, we got most of the way done with this thing, and then I started we got most of the way done with this thing, and I posted on Facebook, and they were mad. This was this is what my dad says. He's like, this is the equivalent of taking a 57 Chevy and sticking a rotary engine into it.
Yeah.
To them,
I can
it's
imagine.
that level of offense.
I can imagine.
So I was just like, sorry. I mean, they were literally about to be crushed. He was like, if somebody doesn't buy them this week, I am going to crush them.
So you at least saved them from the crusher. Bare minimum, you saved them from the crusher.
Yeah.
So
that's what I tell everybody. They get all butthurt, and I'm like, I mean, they were about to be,
squished. Yes.
So, So, going back to Brandon Furchess, the LS4, that's what other options are there for front wheel drive? Mm-hmm. If you want to do a front wheel drive V8 car, LS4 is your best option. And what we were stuck on, when we were first brainstorming the build, it was how do you get a transmission that will last? Because we had seen the Hot Rod Garage guys. I don't know if you follow them at all.
Yes. Yeah, I saw the Twin Pala build, if that's what you're talking about.
Yes. Yep. They put those, I don't know how much they have in those transmissions. Probably
4T60s or something in them.
yeah, 4T65Es.
That seemed not to hold it.
Yeah, probably $5,000 transmission, and the
Yeah.
guy's like, "Do not take them over 500 horsepower, or
Yeah.
your warranty is void." Like,
Yeah.
so we were like, "Okay, how are people doing this?" Like, because I remembered the article from CarCraft on Brandon's car, and he made like 794 horsepower to the wheels, and I'm like, "How the heck is he doing this?" And lo and behold, GM, in their infinite wisdom, they stuck the 4T80E, which is a transverse 4L80E, behind the North Star Cadillacs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're basically taking North Star, ticking time bomb,
Yeah. Yeah. engine
100,000
out.
miles, boom, head
Yep.
gaskets.
Yep.
So
I've serviced a few of them. I understand.
yeah. You probably know more than me. So you can find these low mileage, super beefy 4T80E transmissions, and then the LS4s, they put the 4T65E behind them, and a V6 will blow them up.
Yeah.
So, so we're basically doing what GM should have done. The only issue is they mount the starter on the 4T65E transmission.
Okay. Yeah,
So
and the North Star is mounted underneath the intake in a very, very stupid spot.
Yes, I have done one of those.
So, how'd you... I think Brandon Furches makes an adapter now. Doesn't need to make that work?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
he makes an oil pan that you can bolt the starter to. That was like, we had started this before the front wheel drive challenge thing, before like any of that. We had started this project, and then he like announced all this stuff like, "Oh, I'm going to start releasing products," and going to we had already like finished making our oil pan, because you basically have to cut the LS4 oil pan apart, weld it all back together, and you have to mount the starter to the oil pan.
Okay.
Because there's like no other place to put it.
Yeah.
So
Because of the bell housing of that 4T80.
yeah, we were like partway through that, and then he announced this LS4 challenge that he was putting on. Basically the quickest LS4 powered front wheel drive vehicle at the end of this year gets a prize, and it's up to like $3,000 right now. Okay. So we're aiming to win that, assuming everything. I mean, it hasn't really been going very well for him
because of world events right now. But yes,
right, yeah, like we just made a pass. We finally got to make like a complete like good pass in the Talon a week ago. Yeah, okay. A week ago. That was the 1127 at 128. Okay. And we were the first ones to submit a time slip to him. So
yeah,
not really going well. Yeah, I feel so bad for him. I mean, he put his heart and soul into this, and like nobody's coming and playing. It's really sad.
I think a lot of it, because there was a lot of hype behind this. I'm sure a lot of it's just because of all the COVID stuff going on right now. I have no doubt. I
am sure of it. Yeah. There's lots of LS4 powered vehicles. He put out a bounty like $100 for the person that makes the first pass. Like, come on, let's get something on the board. Like, come on, guys. Yeah. He did that around like March time frame, and it wasn't until August that he got the first. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, I'm such a dick. Like, I feel so bad.
You didn't know, and it's one of those things, again, with the way the world's been lately, it's just everyone's been...
Yeah, for sure.
Been holding back, which I completely understand. So, I've definitely been seeing it, but it's the way the world is right now, so...
Yep. But we figured out why it was blown engines. We figured that out like a week ago when it blew the second one.
What was going on then?
So... The LS4s are Gen 4 engines.
Okay.
So they have the pressure relief valve
In
in
the
the
oil
oil pan.
pan. Yes.
Yes. And we welded near that a lot.
And you ruined the rubber seal inside that thing. Uh huh.
Either the rubber seal or I thought maybe the spring got so hot that it just isn't
That very well
springy
could have
anymore.
been it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, that makes sense.
I made a little test manifold. I pressurized that cavity where the little pressure relief valve is,
Yep.
and 1 psi, and it was, psst, and I'm like, no.
Lack of oil.
Yeah, yeah. It was just like, oh my gosh, like so much pain.
Yeah.
So
Hey, you live and learn. That's how you learn.
yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's guys around town that'll like, they are always on us like, why do you do the stock bottom end stuff? Like, just build an engine. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we blow a lot of stuff up, but
But it's
we're also
cheap.
pushing it really hard.
And it's cheap. You're
Yeah,
not blowing
but
up
it's
a
like
$4,000 rotating
that
assembly.
exactly. Yeah,
So.
that failure. That could have been a $20,000 engine. That could have been a
Uh-huh. Yeah, it could have been a lot of money.
it's just that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because it's less than $500 short block. Because the LS4s are worthless.
Yeah.
They have
you
the
can pick them up
unique
anywhere.
bell housing.
And I think the
Yeah,
crank's
yeah,
different
they're-
too. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
they're all
Crankshaft's different.
they're all in a league of their own.
Yeah. Most people take the heads off and the rods and pistons, and the heads are the 799. The LS6 heads, and so most people take those off, which I don't want them anyways because they make less power than the truck heads.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can keep them, and yeah, I'll take the $100 short block and go have fun.
Yep.
So yeah. So that it's back together. We haven't fired it yet.
Okay.
Our aim was to take that to the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge. You're probably seeing a theme here.
Yep.
So the deal with that is you have to build the car for $2,000 minus a little bit of safety equipment. Like they don't want you to die.
Yeah.
And
Which
you
it's
get
the
a
same
set of
as
tires.
It's the same as like what's that road racing course? I can't remember the name of it now. I'm gonna shoot myself.
Chump car?
What?
Chump car?
No. I'll remember by the end of this
Lemons.
podcast. Lemons. Thank you. The Lemons rally, where you get $500 to put into a car. However, that doesn't include the safety equipment or anything, which makes sense. I mean, you need the drivers to stay safe and everything, so that's totally understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, they don't go as far as Lemons does. Lemons, they like allow you to put like a full roll cage and stuff in your car. Mm-hmm. That is not budget exempt in the challenge. You have to put in the cost for that, which that was the nice thing about the Talon.
It was
so we got this thing home. Yeah, we got this thing home. Not only is it a 750 cert cage with all the bars to do that, which they didn't do all the welds. They didn't complete all the welds, which is probably why no one bought it. And we had to like cut the roof off the car and complete all the welds and stuff.
Okay.
Which was barrel of monkeys. But
I can imagine.
Yeah, not only that, but it was a chromoly cage. Like,
yeah. That had to have been fun.
So, yeah. So it was just like it's like this is like a $10,000 cage that somebody just like,
Yeah, didn't finish it all the way.
Yeah. So
right next to the goalpost, and like, I'm gonna leave it be.
Yeah. Let's just pull the trigger on this one, and or pull the ripcord or whatever. Yeah.
Be done with it. But it goes on Facebook Marketplace, and you find it. Yep.
Yeah. Some idiot like he finds it and ruins it, and
Yep.
So yeah, that's gonna be fun. Down. We're actually LS Fest is coming up here in like 3 weeks.
Okay.
And we're like desperately trying to get it ready for that.
Yep.
So
you're be on a timetable. But hey, you said you got the motor most of the way back together, so
Yep. Yeah, and I'm
Cool.
putting a Terminator X into it, and
There you
I'm
go.
just, yeah. Where I was going with the challenge thing is, we run in stock ECU on the car. I wasn't able to like a lot of the challenge is like you hurt stuff because you can't spend money,
Hmm.
and not saying our failures on the Talon were because we couldn't spend money, but there's so many like I'm having to like try and make this nice boost ramp with like springs and wastegates and it's I can't just like put a boost control solenoid in it
Yeah.
and tell it what I want. I have to like do all this stupid stuff, and I can only run one wastegate, and it's only on the one bank, and it's like I'm trying to make this nice, nice boost curve that I can control and change and
Hmm.
adapt to changing track conditions, and it's like, can I just put a Terminator on it, please?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're putting that on it, and
That'll be
it's not
good.
going to the challenge. Like,
Okay.
yeah, so
Skipping the grassroots challenge and going to what's the other one again?
LS Fest,
LS
LS.
Fest.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
gotcha.
yep, yep. So yeah, that's the deal on that one. And as always, we have like 15 other projects going, and
I hear you
we're
there.
building a methanol. Yep, we're building a methanol, straight methanol car. We got to fix my dad's Nova because we blew the bottom end out of that one.
Hmm.
Of course, my Studebaker. We're building a Fairmont with another 4200. My dad's building a Studebaker Gasser. We have a C4 Corvette that we're like in the middle of putting a 4 link in the back of. So yeah, we're
Lots of
busy.
projects. Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you there. Oh my word. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's quite a bit. But
yeah. So you're trying to get a three. I saw you asking for advice on like a 3 link
I'm doing
for
a
your
three link in the back of
truck.
the S10. Yep. Mainly for three link has a good articulation, and that's mainly what
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
going after. Yep. Because I want it to be a
Yep.
good street truck, but I'm also going to be taking it drifting. And it seems like, at
Okay.
least all the research I've done, it seems like a three link's the way to go. So,
Yep.
um,
Y-
sorry, go on.
Yeah. I'll have to. Yeah, I'll have to talk to my buddy. My buddy is working on building it's a is it what do they call it? C1500. Yeah,
Okay.
that one.
Yep.
Um, and he's building a 100% custom chassis for the car, and
Okay.
he's doing a 3 link. So he might be able to point you in the right
I'll
direction
take
at the
any
very least.
help. I'll take any help I can get because I'm not
Yeah,
a suspension guy. But
yep. He's also on YouTube. His YouTube is Loud and Proud.
okay, I'll have to go
It's
subscribe to him then. Follow him
Yeah,
on YouTube.
yeah. Go check him out, and maybe you could have him as a guest. Maybe you guys could nerd out on that.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I've been doing a lot. Honestly, I've probably been doing a lot of research. I mean, probably within the last year or so, I've been doing research into that thing, trying to figure out how to do it on this
Yep.
S10. And I found a guy, one of my buddies on Facebook. His name is Matt Mosier. He has a plasma table, so I'm able to send him.
Yep.
Like I have everything because of the Twisted Builds business to do like 3D printing. I have all the software. I use Fusion
Yep.
360. So I'll just be able to send
Yep.
him what I need for cutouts, and he's going to cut it out for me. I'm right now. I'm gonna.
Yep.
My idea is to make two custom sets of brackets for the 8.8. It's getting an Explorer 8.8 I got for it. Make two
Yep.
custom brackets that way I have full adjustability there, and then the third middle bracket on top, and then adjustable brackets for also on the frame. That way I can kind of fine tune the links and get it where I need it for how I want it to handle and whatnot. But it's finally yesterday I
Yeah.
got the.
Are you?
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, there's like a massive delay,
There
so
is.
I'm like trying to jump in. Yeah, trying not to be a jerk.
No, you're fine.
Um,
I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast knows we're doing this by internet, and there's a massive delay right now.
Yeah.
So, but what were you gonna
Yeah.
ask?
Yeah, your third mount on top. Are you planning to like weld that on, or are you gonna like bolt it to the pumpkin face, or?
What I did on the Firebird, because the Firebird is still a torque arm suspension. So it still has the 2 lower bars and a torque arm. And that's got an 8.8 out of a Crown Vic. What I learned on that one is if you take 1.5 inch tubing, what I did is I welded from axle tube to axle tube and just bent it over top of the differential, upper and lower. Gotcha. And I also, the Crown Vics had a Watts link set up, so I had a nice big old beefy bolt on that differential. So I actually ran a strap from that tube to that differential just to give it a little extra support. This 8.8 doesn't have that, but the one tube on top should be more than enough. I'm going to preheat the way I had the tubing, I had it nice and tight to the differential cover or differential housing, so I'll preheat the housing a little bit and also weld that tube to the housing as well, and that'll give me my top link area, I believe. I haven't got the design finalized yet, but it's gonna be something along that line to give me a top link mount. And just go from there. I thought about
we've actually
sorry, go on. You're good.
we've actually like welded directly to the housing, the center housing on an 8.8 before. Well, we actually have a 3rd gen as well.
Okay.
And we're running the torque arm still. We're actually still running that sheet metal torque arm. It's going 934 at 144 with the sheet metal torque arm.
That's pushing the snot out of that torque arm.
So we actually welded directly to the housing. I think obviously it's cast steel, or else we probably couldn't have welded to it. But that might be maybe you could tie into the housing in the front or something. Have the bar going over the top, and then have a third leg that grabs onto the housing.
And that was that was definitely kind of my idea. Just that way, I had a little bit more support in the middle there, so it's not so. It's not so much stress on the middle of that pipe, possibly like doing this or something. So,
but
I
don't know if you follow Faster Proms.
No, I've seen them. I've seen them on like the Cletus McFarland channel, but I don't follow him directly. I need to.
Yeah, he did a S15, I think, S10. Same difference. And he did a 3-link kit. From I don't know, some supplier, some bolt-on type deal.
Probably I know the bolt-on ones are from Ride Tech. Ride Tech makes a bolt-on 3-link. It's also like $2,500.
Yeah.
And I'm not made of money, so
right.
I'm making it.
He did his is all-wheel drive as well.
Okay.
And he folded their kit sandwiches one of the cross members in the car. Yeah, he bent that thing really good.
I have no doubt. It's the front on those S10s right before the rear axle. There's a cross member there that holds the gas. It's a frame cross member and also has a gas tank mount. That's where the Ride Tech one bolts to. And my plan so far has been to cut all the rivets out, get rid of that, and go with a tubular cross brace once I box in the frame. So just to give the frame a lot more support. With drifting it and doing street shenanigans on it, I want it to make sure it's nice and sturdy. So that's the plan.
Yep. Yeah, you'll definitely have to look him up. He went through all kinds of struggles. I mean, he's had nothing but issues.
I'm definitely
with that thing.
Probably once I get done with this podcast, I'll probably add him on YouTube so I can start watching this stuff. Yeah,
he's like that build was probably close to a year ago.
Okay.
So you can watch all of his struggles. It's a Gen 5 engine.
Okay.
So direct injected, and he made 800 wheel horsepower on 9 pounds of boost.
Okay.
Which is
crazy,
insane. My Fairmont, another car we have. I have a Fairmont station wagon with a 6-liter twin turbo, 2 7875s.
Okay.
It made 800 wheel on 15 pounds with square port heads.
Yeah.
And he's making 800 wheel on 9 with a 5.3.
He's really doing something.
Yeah.
That's got to be all heads and cam.
Whew.
That's got to be heads, cam, and turbo. That's got to be
Yep.
a good flowing setup. Because there's no
Those
way.
heads,
It's got to be.
those heads are insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to follow him after.
I'm sure you're
after
following.
this. What?
Yeah, I'm sure you're following Matt's build
Arnie's
with the Gen 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes I am.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see how that goes down. I'm excited to see how the direct injection goes down. That's what I'm really That's what I'm really interested in right there. So we're gonna see how that works.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to see Holly taking on the direct injection. I mean, I have a Gen 5 engine as well, just sitting, just because it was cheap.
You're like me. Find good buys and like, okay, that can sit somewhere. I'll find a project for it at some point.
Exactly.
I know how that goes.
That was my biggest hang up, was like, how the heck do I control this thing? Like, I hear my buddy found this this like study on like all the benefits of direct injection and why these heads work so freaking well with the direct injection and stuff. And I'm like, man, maybe that's why he's making 800 wheel horsepower on 9 pounds of boost.
Yeah, the heads probably don't have to flow any fuel, and that's probably where the extra airflow is coming in.
Exactly.
So you're spraying the fuel right into the chamber. I have no doubt that's what's going on. It didn't ring until you just said that, and that's what's going on. Yep. So the port doesn't have to carry any fuel. Without having to carry that volume of fuel, it's able to carry more air. If you introduce the fuel in the chamber, you're good to go.
Yeah, you should see the pistons on these things, because they look almost like diesel pistons. Like they're designed for like the air to like tumble in. It's crazy.
Yeah, Ford EcoBoost motors, because they're a turbo direct injection, they're the same way. So they have a little port in the middle, and they'll have their valve reliefs, and then the way the piston is made itself, it's made to like swirl the air up to get good turbulence in the cylinder before the piston comes all the way up. So I completely understand what's going on there. But that totally didn't dawn on me, but that makes complete sense why he's getting that kind of power out of 9. You said 9 pounds. He's getting 800 horse out of a 5.3. I have no doubt that's what's going on. So between sorry, go on.
That was my conundrum. If I want to keep the part of the big advantage of this seems to be the direct injection, and it's like, how the heck am I going to control this? Like, my idea originally was just convert it to port injection, but it's like, no, it seems like that's actually like the reason these things are so hot,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So here's a question, because I haven't done a lot of Gen 5 LS research. What's the limit of the factory direct injection?
So the LT4 injectors are larger, so you can run them and actually make pretty well. The injectors and the injection pump are bigger, so you can actually make some serious power. I think that's what Faster Proms has on theirs, and I don't think he's running out near the edge of his injectors yet.
So they have a lot of room to grow.
Yeah, and he's on ethanol as well. So
so they have a lot of room to grow.
Yes.
Okay.
But the big issue that I found my buddy, the same guy that's doing the C1500, he's doing a Gen 5 engine as well in the same truck, and he's doing a dual clutch BMW transmission. So yeah, he likes to party.
Sounds like it. And headache.
So yes. Yeah. So he did all this research for me, he did all this research, and it seems that the limit for the Gen 5 engines, they have a low tension ring on the top ring. So it's a very that's like a race, like naturally aspirated, like race type thing. And so that is not great with boost. It's not like the older stuff. And that's the one thing, like Matt keeps talking about doing boost on that Gen 5 engine. I'm like, stop, like,
Yeah.
no, like, I want to help you, buddy. Like this, it's a bad idea. But yeah, I said my piece. I sent
Yep.
him a little message like, hey, buddy, just trying to help here. Not trying to be a jerk, but and but yeah, that seems to be the limit. It's about there's a guy with a V6, the V6 Gen 5 engine. I forget what the L. It's like an L something.
Okay.
Yeah, the 4.3, the new 4.3, and he's 600 horsepower, basically 100 horsepower per hole seems to be the limit.
Okay.
And I don't need to test that. So yeah, the other thing with the Gen 5 heads is they're canted valves.
Okay.
So yeah, they can't. You got to be careful with lift. All of a sudden, like the LS heads, you can just throw whatever lift cam in it, you'll be fine.
And these ones you can't because of valve to piston
Yes.
clearance issues.
Right. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it has all kinds of issues with
Which
that.
I'm sure they canted those valves probably to make room for that direct injector to sit in there. So I have no
Yeah.
doubt that was what's going on there.
Right.
So-
Probably to get bigger valves in it too.
Yeah. Now, and here's a question. So you were talking about piston ring. Are you able to get a regular standard piston ring on those factory pistons, or do you have to go with a piston upgrade?
Yeah, it's a thinner ring. Apparently there might be a company that you could get something for.
Yeah.
It's if you're going to build an engine,
You're
you're
upgrading
I would
pistons at that point.
yeah, I think your only option is to build an engine with a Gen 5. And the nice thing is they have 12 millimeter head bolts stock, versus the 11 millimeter on the LS engines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that lots of people are going to like 1/2-inch head studs on the LS stuff. Well, it's already got 12 millimeter head studs, and so it also has the piston rod squirters. There seems to be a lot of benefits with the Gen 5 stuff. So what I say to people is, if you're going to do like a rods pistons engine, LT's a
Gen 5.
pretty decent. Yeah, LT's a pretty good option, but if you're trying to do a stock bottom end like turbo build, I think I'd stay with an LS.
Gotcha.
I've even thought about like take a set of LS rods and pistons, or just pistons, because they're still the same compression height, and put them into an LT. But going back to the canted valve thing,
Well, not only the canted valve, but with the direct injection, the way that direct injection piston is, if you were to put a non-direct injection piston in that, it's not going to have the swirl. Probably it's not
Right.
going to have the same drivability either because of that.
Yeah.
So
well, I was thinking like a race only, like, let's just see what happens. And yeah, and even with like a stock cam, it doesn't have the right valve reliefs for the canted valves, and
Gotcha.
I hear you have piston to valve clearance issues with like stock lift, so that's obviously not going to work.
Yep.
Yeah, I even had a crazy idea. Like they changed GM sometimes. Like they changed the valve order in the Gen 5 engines. So it's instead of intake exhaust, it's exhaust intake.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah. Which means nothing interchanges for. Yeah, that was good.
Yep. Yeah, and I had a crazy thought one day. Take the camshaft out of an LS engine and put it into, take the heads off of an LT engine, put them on an LS engine, and you would have a reverse flow engine. You would have a hot V.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah. But you're. Oh, my word.
I know, it's terrible.
But again, like, I don't know if you could do that because, as you're saying, the head bolts and everything are different. So that would also
Well,
mean that
they're in the same
require
spot.
Yeah.
They're just bigger.
So you'd have to probably machine out some dowel pins to accommodate for the difference to make sure they. Yeah. We don't need the coolant ports and everything to line up. It'll be okay. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Lord.
it was a dumb idea. I know. I was thinking one day, I was like in the middle of doing something for work, and I was like, wait a second. Yeah. And then I told my dad about it, and he's like, He actually took, I was expecting, idiot, but he was actually like, no, that would work.
Yeah, because I mean, in theory,
yeah.
the exhaust ports are going to become the intakes, and it'll exhaust out through the middle.
Exactly.
You can put the turbo right in the middle of the motor, really, really close to the exhaust ports, just like a lot of the new diesels
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, because my dad has a 6.7, the Ford 6.7.
Yep, Power Stroke.
And that's how they're configured. And I was like, that's why it popped in my head, because I was thinking about that for just whatever reason, and it just was like, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely stupid idea, but
It is. But it could be probably done.
try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Oh,
I never even thought about that. Honestly, I didn't know the Gen 5 stuff was port different either. I thought it was again, I know the Gen 5 motor is different than the LS motor. I just didn't realize how different it was. So, because
they of course changed the motor mounts and
yeah,
so many little stuff that it's
different.
Dang it, GM! Come on.
Yeah.
At least they didn't change the bell housing.
The bell housing.
They would have changed that.
It would have been bad. Yeah.
Yeah, we would have had trouble. But
and that bell housing's been the same since the 50s.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's a good thing.
If
They haven't changed that
there
yet.
would have been there would have been a revolution or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all
you
the
think
hot
2020
waters will
bad?
come up in arms, yeah.
Yeah, you think 2020's bad now?
Yeah, wait till something like that would go down.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Oh my. Yeah, but yeah, that's a little taste of what I'm about. So always doing wacky and wild stuff. So
Sounds like
I don't know how long you wanted to go here, but
it doesn't matter. You wanted to talk about this, I remember.
Oh, yes, I do.
So, anyone watching the podcast on the YouTube, this is the 10.1-inch dash display. It's just the screen part of the display I've been working with. Now, mind you, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't really touched this project in a couple months because of the S10 build. So, a lot of my digital stuff happens in the winter months when things get cold. I don't have a heated garage or anything, and this stuff right here gives me more than enough reason to stay inside and code and design and develop the electrical boards and stuff like that. But you wanted to ask me some questions, I'm assuming, about this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
so I've been trying to make my own digital dash for years, and I've right now I'm trying to do it with a hang on a second. Do I have one here? Okay, I don't have one. I've been trying to do it with the Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
And that's been I've
go on.
Yep, I've tried to do it. So with the Raspberry Pi, you're running Linux OS, but it still has to bring online all that Linux garbage, and then you can open the Tuner Studio application or whatever you're running. And I've tried that approach, because it's essentially it's a computer that's running Tuner Studio, and then you have it go to full screen, and it looks like a dash. So I tried that. And then you can also run Android OS on the Raspberry Pi, and so I'm trying that on my current rendition of it, and it still takes a minute for the thing to boot.
I know it does because I've played with this a little
and
bit.
It's like, why are digital dashes so expensive?
This guy right now, this is not like this one part right here is $200. So
Okay.
this screen alone, like that's no markup. That's my cost. That screen's $200. I have to
Yep.
program a delay into it. If I didn't program
Yeah.
a delay into it, it would have about 50
Yeah,
millisecond boot time.
Okay. When you send me mine, just delete that.
Okay. Fine. The delay I program into it is literally just to splash the Twisted Builds logo. So kind of,
Yep.
I don't know if you've ever seen
Well,
my
I guess.
Spoolie Boys and whatnot, the Spoolie Boy boost controller
I have,
or the
yes.
okay. The same company makes the same screen. We program it's like a 5-second delay into that just to bring up the logo,
Yep.
and then it's booted. Same
Yep.
thing's going to be with that, and
Yep.
I might make it a
Yeah.
customer option where you could turn off the boot sequence if you want to, so where you literally key on and it's up and going. So within
That was a joke, but
yeah, I know, but within like 50 milliseconds or whatever, it would be up and running.
Yeah.
Which is it takes what a
Yep.
minute and a half with a Linux Raspberry Pi.
yeah, it's bad.
I first started. I think I have it here. Yeah, I first started like with the Firebird, an old cheapy eBay tablet dash. So this, and
Yep.
just to give you an idea and size difference, that's what I was running, and that's what I'm
Yep.
going to make. So
Yep.
yeah, and
Yep.
and
Yeah.
that thing.
I tried the tablet.
Sorry, go on.
I tried the tablet dash thing too, and it just the connection into the tablet, like it just the way it wiggles around, and it's just I couldn't get it to be robust enough, and it was like no, we need
Yep.
something that like wires in like screw terminals like or something like this just won't fly.
And like that one, I didn't have it USB connected. I had it Bluetooth connected, USB for power only. So I had a Bluetooth dongle
Okay.
for my MS2, and that's how I did that.
Yep.
But it's still
Gotcha.
that one in particular would take almost 2 minutes to boot. So I turned that thing on before I even started the car, and it was a pain in
Yeah.
the butt. And that was another reason behind the big dash I want to do, because I want it to be
Yeah.
just like automotive gauges where you start the car, they're ready to go. So
Right. Yeah, you need to get on that. Like,
yes, I'm working on it. It's my main project this winter because I need it for my
Yeah,
S10 as
there's-
well. So it's the Speeduino and that dash are the only two projects I have going on this winter. So between those two,
Yeah.
they're both gonna, and that dash is going to work. I have a buddy, which I need to keep his name quiet because not a lot of people have the information. But I have a line to get the Holly CAN bus, the network messages and everything. So this is going to work with your Holly Terminator X. I already like all the Megasquirt stuff is open source, and I've done it already with the Arduino
Awesome.
stuff with Megasquirt. So it's going to work with Megasquirt and my Speeduinos, which I'm helping. Well, and I haven't even told Josh Stewart this. So if Josh Stewart's watching or listening, hey, I'm working on the CAN bus code for Speeduino, but I'm working on that as well. So that way I'll work with Speeduino, Megasquirts, Microsquirt, and the Holly. So, because I know the Holly Dash, now it's not going to do everything the Holly Dash is able to do, but I know that Holly Dash, the good one's what, like $1,200?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid.
This isn't going to be anywhere near that. So, I would love for this to be about half price. So, or I would
Yeah, that
love
would
to
be
be
awesome.
I'd love to be in the $600 range with that Dash.
Yeah, you may even want to consider maybe like a smaller option. I mean,
I already am. So that's the 10.1. They also make a 7. So they make a 7-inch
Okay.
dash as well
Perfect.
for the smaller gauges or gauge clusters.
yeah, because I grafted the Raspberry Pi Dash like into the Fairmont Dash, and I don't think I could fit a 10-inch display.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and that's why I was figuring I was going to offer two options because the code's going to be about the same. I mean, the screen layout will be a little bit different, but the code's going to be the same between the two.
Yep.
So I was going to offer a 7. I think it's like a 7.1 and a 10.1. So,
Okay.
and we'll go from that. But
Yeah, there's money to be made there. Like,
yeah.
they're just like robbing us.
Yeah, and it's one of those
just-
things like even with the Twisted Builds business, I never started the business to make a killing. It was one of those
Sure,
things. It was one of those things where it's like I've seen what and there's nothing wrong with these businesses at all. I buy from them still. But there are a lot of businesses, the markup on stuff for us entry level guys, again, like the grassroots guys and stuff like that, is so high. It's like it makes it unattainable for guys on a lower income trying to have fun with their hot rods. And that's where, like, when Matt Happel reached out to me to make the simple dial boost, that's where that whole idea came from, was like make a simple, easy boost controller for the masses and make it cheap, but good. And that's where that came from. And that's kind of the whole. I don't ever foresee the business replacing my day job, but mainly because of that, and mainly because it's a fun hobby, and I love doing this stuff. So. But yeah.
Well, I wasn't trying to suggest that's why you were doing it, but it just, I want it.
No, I don't blame you. There's a lot of people that want it. So, as I said, besides for that, it's just this Speeduino, and then that is going to be this winter, because I want to get them launched this coming spring. So that's the goal. And I'm sure I'll probably send you out one, being you're one of my beta testers, and you can try it out. And there you go. Try it out and see how you like it. Go from there. But...
Well, I will put it to use for sure.
I'm sure. But
that 1 minute boot time is just too long.
It is. And that's, again, I like that one. That specific one's going to go in my S10, because I'm probably going to end up making room for it, because it's not. It won't fit where the factory one is. But I want it in there so that way I can use it for. It's even at the cost of what I'm going to be selling, or my target retail price, it's still going to be cheaper to buy all the autometer gauges it's going to replace. I mean, you'll have to. I mean, I'll probably offer, because I work with Low Dollar now. I've been recommending all his sensors with my products, and like for boost pressure sensors and stuff like that into it. If you're not getting it from the Micro Squirt or the Holly or whatever, if you're like putting this on a carbureted build or whatever, you could do stuff like that. So. It's as I said, it's gonna be a work in progress, but I'm hoping this spring to get it released and get some testing on it and get it released for the masses probably by this coming summer. Yeah,
do it.
Yeah, it's coming. So.
All right. Well.
All right, man. I think that was good. That was a very good progress. So thank you for being the first guest. So.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun. I mean. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and so many of the car podcasts are like, oh, did you see the new Lamborghini? It's just like, I need a podcast I can relate to, and you started yours, and I'm like, all right, you. Keep going.
And again,
I need a podcast.
And that was I've been starting to get into podcasts within the last 2 years. I have an hour drive one way to work, so during that time, I have a lot of time to listen to podcasts. And same thing as you, I found a couple that are automotive related, and like their cheap cars were $120,000 to $150,000 vehicles they were talking about. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I can't relate to that.
I can't either.
I will never ever buy that.
Yeah, I mean, there's I would
and my car's faster than it. So.
Yeah, true, exactly. And I me, I'm grassroots kind of guy. I love hot rodding stuff and doing oddball crap, and it's just that's the kind of people I want to go after with this podcast. So I'm glad you're happy with what we've got so far, and thank you again for being a guest.
Good job.
So thank you.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. You guys, you have a good evening, and thank you everyone for watching the Twisted Builds podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.